Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thirsty Thursday. I'm back here with Susan Diaz. Today, we're going to talk about all those things that we saw on the interwebs this week that got us thirsty. First and foremost, Susan, though, let's acknowledge this month is Pride Month. Yay.
Yep.
And Indigenous History Month. So
That's right.
You're going to see a lot of stuff going on about both of those things this month. Susan, what's the first topic that we want to dive into?
Yeah, there's a couple things that I'm excited to chat about this week. But before that, I should say, Will, I'm breaking out the popcorn to see all the performative tokenism things that are going to come out this month, and then watching to see who's calling out people who said things last year. This time of year is I mean, it's sad that it's this way, but this is probably, like we said, sometimes the shaming is what moves the action forward.
True.
Mm-hmm. So that said, one of the stories that caught our eye this week was this Burger King again. Surprise, surprise. We seem obsessed. Burger King has a series of print ads that they put out, which is, again, a commentary on pandemic living in a different way. And this ad has got what looks like photos of like Burger King restaurants in like a mall or something, where in a food court where there's a lot of people sort of milling around, they're really close to each other. There's no masks noticeably. Like, I think whenever you see people together now, you're used to seeing them with a mask. There's no masks, and a general uncomfortable feeling. And the line sort of has, the line goes, feeling uncomfortable, don't worry, this is 2017, or don't worry, this is 2019. And this is intended to be like a sort of an opinion to honor the fact that not everyone wants to go back to the way things were pre-pandemic, right? And there's one school of thought who's like, I can't wait to get back to where it was, and there's another lot who's now like, it's probably never going to go back. So I think this was one of those interesting pieces. Their actual ad was for the fact that they were keeping their contactless delivery open, regardless of requirements. So I thought it was really cool.
So this, I guess, is geared towards those people who are anxious to go into crowded spaces again and not sure I really want to. Well, don't worry, Burger King's got contactless delivery. So I get it. And I think, of course, I think portraying the other side of how people might be feeling is an interesting way to go too.
That's right. Mental health. So that's a good little seg to the next one.
Oh, yeah. And Naomi Osaka, who's a Japanese tennis player. I really do love women's tennis. Basically, she has suffered from anxiety and some mental health issues for the past 2 years. The French Open is taking place right now. It's the second major Grand Slam of a calendar tennis year. The French Open has notoriously had issues. Like, they're not the most sensitive or kind tournament organizers. There's been some things in the past. Anyways, so Naomi Osaka, she said she does not want to do post-match press conferences. This is part of her job, post-match press conferences. So now she is setting herself up to be fined $15,000, $20,000 for each one she skips. But she's like, that's fine. My mental health is more important. I'm not in a good place right now. I just need to focus on tennis. Well, there was some back and forth, and she actually ended up retiring from the tournament. She said, I'm being a distraction here. I really liked this a lot because it was a young woman of color, kind of taking control, saying what was right for her to play her best game. Some people were criticizing it, Susan, like, well, she should have went through the process properly, or she knows this is her job, and where would we be without the press? Well, this girl doesn't need press, to be honest. She is all over social media platforms everywhere. I'm glad that she's doing this for her mental health. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. And I think it's awesome the outpouring of support that she's getting for it. Like, brands and individuals, many have come out and said they stand with her. It's amazing. It's a statement of power, and it's a statement of, like, the mental health of everyone is not great right now for a number of reasons, and just dismissing it and say, do your job, bud, is not the way it's going to go. It's not going to help anyone, and good for her for doing that.
Awesome. And then next on the list,
on to another power woman of color. I was really, really charmed this week to see that Malala Yousafzai was on the cover of British Vogue. And it was quite delightful. I mean, the whole series of pictures, I looked at it, I was happy. There's one picture in particular of her in this red and blue sort of outfit, and there's a scarf that's floating all around her and is super glamorous. And I'm like, it's about time that she got to have some fun, right?
Very
and
cool.
This kind of thing is awesomely fun. And maybe it's silly, and maybe it's like a, you know, one of those like frivolous lifestyle-y things, but whatever, you know, I thought it was a nice little juxtaposition. And I thought, you know, for what it's worth, Vogue stays on the edge of these things. There's a reason that the Vogue cover is repeatedly followed by so many of us. It's because it's usually, it brings us a little something. What did you think?
Good job, Vogue. Yeah, no, you sent me the picture last night and I was like, oh, this is a very lovely, it's a good news story. I think it's cool. And I think it's how Vogue needs to evolve, right? You know, they'll still have their high fashion covers, but I think also bringing in different people, different voices, people of different backgrounds, and still be a fashion magazine, but maybe be a fashion magazine that's a little more, what's the word I'm going for here, Susan? A little
relevant.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Next, we wanted to talk about a company called Vogue, who create typefaces based on significant moments, people, things in history. So Susan, you sent this to me. Marsha P Johnson was a transgendered Black woman, very much affiliated with Stonewall Inn, and the Stonewall riots back then. She was an activist. And so what Vogue has done is they've taken something that looks like the typeface from the sign at the Stonewall Inn, turned that into an official typeface, and they are naming the typeface Marsha in honor of Black trans activist Marsha P Johnson. So we thought that was pretty cool too. Just in time for Pride Month, folks. It's a great way to celebrate. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. And, you know, to me, it stood out, especially because I feel like through history, most historical significance has been recorded in literary form, like you've been written about and stuff. So now the fact that you can immortalize those moments in fonts or NFTs or whatever else that you know rolls around makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know what else makes me happy? The new Pixar movie that's coming out, which is called Luca. And I think it's going to be released June 21st. And in some parts of the world, they're campaigning that be in theaters as opposed to just an online release. That said, the subject of the movie, it's about these two little boys who are spending a summer in this lovely little Italian seaside town, and they make friends. And, you know, it's sort of described broadly as a bromance. That said, you know, the two of them they have a secret. They are different. And what's different about them is that they're both sea monsters secretly. So the whole thing sort of explores the concept of being different. And, you know, it's a sort of allegory for LGBTQ plus. And I think the release of it in June is to mark Pride Month as well.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that one too, Susan. So next is just our podcast that we launched this week.
Yeah.
It was on publishing. It was how to rethink your blog and how to be using your writing in a way in which you're going to triple the amount you publish, right, Susan? So if you pull a transcript from something and you're writing a blog, maybe stop and think, oh, there's 3 main points in here. I'm pretty sure I could write 3 different blogs on these 3 main points. Short blogs, they don't need to be super long. So as opposed to 1 blog post, folks, you get 3 blog posts. Right there, you've tripled your output with probably a very, very, very little extra effort.
Yeah, the reasoning for it is really you want to increase your publishing and you want to make it available in different formats. Not everyone has time for in-depth material, and so you're breaking it up for better distribution.
Okay, thanks everybody. We'll see you next Thursday.